to understand if we can innovate off of it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. What did you think when they found that Flores man in Indonesia?
It's amazing. I'm not an anthropologist, so that's not quite.
Has that been 100%? Is that 100% agreed upon?
I've only seen kind of headlines. I'd have to defer to you guys.
I think there was some scientist that was disputing, but essentially they were talking about a 3-foot-tall hobbit-like man.
Yep.
Kind of
cave
thing.
dwelling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little person. Yeah.
Existed alongside human beings as recently as like 14,000 years ago.
Right. Right.
Yeah, which is like, what?
I think it's completely believable. I mean, the Khoisan people in the Saharan desert are tiny. They're
How big?
Like 4 feet.
Oh.
And you might have to double check this, but I believe until the 70s, people used to go and hunt them. Maybe it was earlier. It was 60s or 50s. But you could go and hunt this primitive-sized human being as like a hunt, like an old Englishman with his big mustache and his musket would go hunt these people.
Whoa!
And now we have an understanding that they're people. Like you can't fucking go and hunt them, but like, what's to say there weren't tribes like that all over the world that other people used to hunt that drove to extinction?
Jesus Christ!
Right.
What? Say the name of it again. So, Jamie, you got it?
Khoisan. Khoisan, yeah.
Let me see what these people look like.
They're, in my opinion, they're beautiful. Like you'll see what you think, but they're very small. They're desert dwellers. There's not a lot of resources in the desert, so you don't get huge. So they're perfectly adapted to the desert life.
They really used to hunt them.
Yeah,
and they look just like people.
I mean, you'll have.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a good picture.
But they're still around. Like these aren't an extinct race. They're still there.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Have you ever seen The Gods Must Be Crazy?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like those people. Those were kind of taller Khoisan, but those are Bushmen.
Wow. So who are these people that used to hunt these?
Like I say, I kid you not, it was like the old English explorer would go and conquer Africa and hunt these people like they were an animal,
Fuck.
Crazy, right?
And this was until the 1970s?
That might not be right. That sounds too recent, doesn't it?
God damn, that sounds horrific.
Yeah, you might need to check that. But it was not as long ago as you'd think. You know what I mean? It was like very recently they were still under hunting. God. And they're people.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so that's probably what happened to a lot of the non-Homo sapien human type people.
I would think so. And even if it's not like for sport, it's for competition or resources or any reason.
Yeah.
And that's human nature. Conquer.
Yeah, fuck, man. that is so dark.
Right?
That they would go and hunt small people with a rifle.
Yep.
It's nuts. Are there photos of people like posing with the dead ones?
Again, I'm not an anthropologist. I'm not sure.
I'm looking up stuff.
Yeah. It's brutal.
Oof.
Yeah.
So what other pockets of the world are like mostly unexplored or could perhaps contain some of these animals?
South America for sure. Central Africa for sure. There's some very remote parts of like Russian Arctic, Norwegian Arctic. There's areas in Asia that are still unexplored, believe it or not, regardless of their populace. There really are. Deep China, there's some very unexplored areas. Northern Myanmar, ecological hotspot, nobody goes there. Very impenetrable.
I read something about sort of some part of the world where they thought pterodactyls might still exist.
There's so many of those things. I don't know that one specifically. There's, especially doing what I do, I hear them all the time, right? Oh, you got to go look for Bigfoots or pterodactyls or whatever, mammoths. Right. Could there be a large reptile that perhaps flies? Sure, it's possible. Is there a pterodactyl as we know it? I highly, highly doubt it.
But a large reptile that can fly would be a fucking trip.
They were around,
right? So do you think it would be something that we don't know about? Like,
yeah, basically. I think there's enough pieces of this world that are unexplored that there are still megafauna to be discovered. Really? Not a lot by any means. And I might get ridiculed as I go back to my scientific community for saying this, but my belief is there are these isolated pockets where small populations of megafauna still exist that we don't know about.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, South America is, I mean, how much of South America is actually populated?
I mean, you look at the size of the Amazon jungle or something, and it's sure there's communities and stuff, but not that much. I mean, Australia. If you're not on the coast, there's nothing.
Right.
There's all these huge chunks. Papua New Guinea, same thing. Nobody goes up into the highlands there. They just found a dog there, as you saw. I mean, there's crazy stuff.